Hello, am I audible and are the slides visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. This is about a 3-year-old child who has grown adequately, having normal play and activities. Occasionally was having some episodes of wheezing and was treated on a couple of occasions with inhalers. Not suspected to have any heart disease as there were no major abnormal serious findings. A very recent echo, there was a suspicion of a PDA. So they were sent for a pediatric cardiac evaluation. On clinical examination, the saturations were normal. The pulse volume was normal. There was no cardiomegaly. There was no murmur, no significant precordial bulge, but there was a loud second heart sound. If we carefully look at the chest X-ray, there is not too much of cardiomegaly, but there are a few end-on vessels that are seen on the right lung fields. And definitely the vascularity does not seem to be significantly elevated, but there are multiple end-on vessels. And the main pulmonary artery segment is appearing full. The ECG shows right ventricular hypertrophy. There is a right axis deviation. There are no LV forces. So we did an echocardiogram. The apical 4-chamber view was looking normal. Right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Nothing significantly abnormal in this view. No VSDs. This is a subxiphoid short axis view. We can appreciate that the LV and RV are of normal size, but when during the peak of systole, the septum is flattening, indicating that there may be a pulmonary hypertension. Atrial septum is intact. Superior vena cava is draining now into the right atrium, and atrial septum is intact. Long axis parasternal view was looking normal, normal outflow tract, the normal right ventricular outflow tract, and towards the region of the distal main pulmonary artery, there is a red flow that is entering into the pulmonary artery, suggesting that there may be a PDA. So we turned attention to that. So there is a definite red flow entering into the distal main pulmonary artery. When we interrogated the pulmonary regurgitation, there was a trickle of pulmonary regurgitation which gave a peak pulmonary regurgitation of around 56, indicating that there was quite a severe pulmonary hypertension. So on short axis, we found that the main pulmonary artery was directly continuing only as the right. There is no left at all. And if you carefully see, there is a large ductus here that is entering into the right pulmonary artery. The blood is flowing from aorta into the pulmonary artery in diastole, but during systole, there seems to be a right-left shunt. So if you look at the frozen frames, this is the diastolic frame where the ductus is flowing back, but in systolic frame, it seems to be the blood is going from the pulmonary artery towards the descending aorta. When we looked at the suprasternal view, we identified that it is a right aortic arch with the left innominate as the first branch. And at the base of the left innominate, there was a PDA. That PDA was now filling the left pulmonary artery. So left pulmonary artery is isolated from the main pulmonary artery. Isolation of left pulmonary artery is disconnection of the pulmonary artery away from the main pulmonary trunk. So here we have a left-sided PDA which is supplying this isolated left pulmonary artery. And already we saw a large right PDA entering into the right pulmonary artery. So we have two separated pulmonary arteries, two separated hemodynamics. The right pulmonary artery is having severe pulmonary hypertension because it is in free communication with the aorta through a large PDA. Aorta and RPA pressures are same, severe right-sided pulmonary hypertension. And to quantify whether it is an obstructive pulmonary hypertension or a hyperkinetic pulmonary hypertension, there is no LA-LV dilatation. There are no LV forces on the ECG, no significant chest X-ray, in cardiac enlargement or plethora, and clinical murmur is not there. So whether there is a right-sided pulmonary vascular disease. Left side PDA is very restrictive and very small with an isolated LPA. If there was a large flow, we would have picked up a continuous murmur, but the flow was so little that this flow was extremely low. So the left lung is very oligemic. So what is the treatment? We have to connect the LPA to the main pulmonary artery, or in other words, unifocalize the left pulmonary artery to the main pulmonary artery and divide both the PDA. But the question is the right lung already having established pulmonary vascular disease? Are we already too late? If the right lung has pulmonary vascular disease, then postoperatively, when you connect the main pulmonary artery to the left, the blood will entirely go to the left lung, resulting in postoperative left lung hyperperfusion and left lung pulmonary edema, sometimes left lung pulmonary hemorrhage. Cardiopulmonary bypass will further aggravate the right-sided PVR. So, do we get any favorable clues about operability? If there is an LALV volume overload on echo, we are happy. If there is an aortic runoff in the descending thoracic aorta, we are happy. Unidirectional left-right flow in the PDA, we will be happy. If there is a prominent LV forces in the ECG or cardiomegaly in the chest X-ray with plethora of the right lung, or if there is a good clinical murmur indicating high flow, or if there is a high volume pulse with wide pulse pressure, we'll be happy. None of these things were there. The only favorable sign was leg saturation was 95. So there was no differential cyanosis. That means the child has not gone into Eisenmenger syndrome. So how to identify what is the pulmonary vascular resistance on the right side? So now we did a catheterization. This is the aortic catheter. The aortic catheter shows that it is a right aortic arch with a large PDA that is supplying only the right pulmonary artery. We entered through that narrow restrictive ductus into the LPA from the left-sided PDA. So the right-sided PDA is very large, causing pulmonary hypertension, and left-sided PDA is very restrictive, causing LPA oligemia. Cardiac catheterization showed that SVC to pulmonary artery, there is only 3% step up. And pulmonary artery pressure and aortic pressure were almost the same on the right side. But the left side was non-pulsatile trace with only 10 millimeters of mercury. So this is the right pulmonary artery and the aorta, almost similar, equally touching each other. So how do we find out what is the pulmonary vascular resistance on the right side? Oximetry cannot help because right pulmonary artery is getting venous blood and left pulmonary artery is getting arterial blood. Perfusion scan cannot be done because there is no way to inject technetium labeled macroaggregated albumin into the left lung. MRI cannot be done because MRI will pick up turbulence in the left pulmonary artery due to the narrow PDA. And moreover, in a small baby, to put the child onto an MRI and he have a sedation within a magnet is all technically difficult. So what we did was, we have balloon occluded that pulmonary artery, and with the balloon, the pulmonary artery pressure dropped and the aortic pressure increased, indicating that indirectly right-sided lungs pulmonary vascular resistance is less than the systemic vascular resistance. So this is before and this is after balloon occlusion. The moment we got it, then subsequently we operated on this patient. So the interpretation of the cath data is that there is a severe right pulmonary arterial hypertension with only 3% step up, which means the quantum of left-right shunt is very minimal. But on balloon occlusion, there is a good separation. So we unifocalized the left pulmonary artery to the main pulmonary artery. With 3-month follow-up, there was completely no pulmonary hypertension with normal biventricular function. So what is the lesson that we learned from this patient? Disconnected pulmonary artery will have two different sources of blood flow. In this case, right pulmonary artery was from the RV, but also from the right-sided PDA, whereas left-sided pulmonary artery was entirely from the left PDA. They are exposed to different pressures and are vulnerable to develop different vascular resistance. Segmental pulmonary hypertension is more dangerous and has a more accelerated course because the right PDA is now supplying only the right lung. Calculation of flows and resistances in segmental pulmonary hypertension is very difficult. Thus, this patient adds a lot of educational value for decision making. So in the recent times, the patient that I have seen, I would say this is one of the best cases which I can use for giving a lot of educational value to people who are practicing pediatric cardiology. Thank you very much.